The worst offense is bent knees. At this point, we're just doing a jumping squat.
What?
You're starting in a deadlift position. Your kettlebell is right between your ankle bones.
You know you have to go out of your way to make a kettlebell swing tutorial and then show us 7 ways that will wreck your swing in a video that's only 2.5 minutes long. That's some kind of achievement, right? So let's critically review this video from Well+Good and make it a teaching moment.
But before we get started, I want you to join our free 50K giveaway. Get a chance to win lifetime access to our online kettlebell courses valued over $2,000. Link is in the description.
Grüezi miteinander, Gregory von Lebe hier. This video demonstrates that just because you know an exercise doesn't mean that you can explain it and that you have the proper cues. Her explanation and the tutorial itself is a complete failure, even though her swing doesn't look that bad at the end, even though she's using a light weight. The thing that makes this tutorial even worse is that they divide it into 2 parts. In the first part, they tell you this is the wrong way to do it, and then in the second part, they tell you here's the right way to do it. And they fail in both parts.
First thing that I see wrong is a rounded back to even pick up your kettlebell. That means that your core is not engaged.
Now, of course, she's right that many people pick up the kettlebell like this with a rounded back. However, her explanation is problematic. She throws around this buzzword, the core. The problem is this has nothing to do with your core right here. It has everything to do with your kinesthetic literacy of your spinal muscles that extend your spine so that you can grab a kettlebell like this with a straight back.
Probably the worst offense is bent knees, because at this point, we're just doing a jumping squat.
Now here's something that bugs me out when trainers tell their clients or audience that if you do this, this is the worst offense ever. When you learn an exercise, whether that be the kettlebell swing or something else, you will make mistakes. And there is no such thing as a worst offense. You need these mistakes in order to progress through the exercise. So never think that just because you're doing something wrong, that this is such an offense that if a trainer is spotting you, that it's gonna snipe you and tell you, how dare you? So now after this little rant, let's check out the original sin according to the trainer, that is a bent knee. Now there's 2 types of swings. The first swing is a hinge-oriented swing. Now I want to show you the bird's eye perspective to make it as easy as possible for you to understand it. This is what a hinge-oriented swing looks like. A hinge means I'm pushing the hips back and the knees are unlocking. They are not bending. The second swing would be a deadlift-oriented swing that is mostly done with heavier weights. Now I still hinge, but I also bend the knee a little bit to compensate for the pull of gravity. Since I'm swinging a heavier weight, it looks like this. Here's the surprise, both are fine. So if you bend your knees, you're not engaging in some form of a jumping squat. This statement doesn't make any sense at all. Yes, there is a jump squat, but this looks biomechanically completely different than a swing.
And then the last one is I see a lot of people checking their form. Do you think this looks safe?
You have to make sure that you engage into the exercise in a safe manner and that you're not distracted. I don't see nothing wrong with checking your technique in the mirror. You can do it like me. I stand in a diagonal stance now towards the mirror that's in front of me now. And now as I'm swinging, I just have to be a little bit careful. As the bell reaches the top, I can see if I'm engaging in the proper hinge. The best way, however, for you to find out whether your kettlebell swing technique is solid is to film yourself.
Always make sure that you're starting in a deadlift position and your kettlebell is right between your ankle bones.
So now we've arrived at the point of the video where they show you how to do the right thing, and here they show you again the wrong thing. You don't start like you would start in a deadlift, because this is a ballistic exercise that requires momentum. So whether you work with a light, moderate, or heavy weight, whether you start with single or both hands, you always want to start with a 1/2 meter distance to the kettlebell in front of you. So you stand shoulder width apart over the kettlebell, take a step back, And that's the proper position to get started. Now I'm ready to start with momentum.
So I'm gonna be picking it up like I'm trying to break the handle in half, and I'm squeezing my armpits together as if there's a bug.
Unfortunately, again, her coaching cues do not make any sense whatsoever. You don't want to think about grabbing the kettlebell like a madman so that you want to break the handle, because this will make you arm dominant. In a kettlebell swing, your arms are like tethers or a leash. They are attached to the kettlebell. Yes, you have to have some tension, but you also have to engage into some proper relaxation, and you have to understand when to engage the muscle and when to relax. So here's how I want to get started with my grip. I have the shoulder width stance and the 1/2 meter distance that we just covered previously. I hinge, grab the handle, and tilt the kettlebell towards me so that the base of the kettlebell is off the floor and that the handle points towards me. Now with my shoulder blades, showing you the other side, I want to think about pulling my shoulders downwards because I want to engage my lat muscle. It's a big muscle that has to work as I'm swinging the weight. Yet, as you are contracting your back muscle, do not make the mistake to become arm dominant where you start swinging the kettlebell with the power and the force of your arms. There's a great cue for you to remember. The hips lead and the arm heaves.
And you always want to start with a small momentum to help get the movement going.
Trying to gain momentum as the kettlebell sits in front of your hips is a waste of energy and a waste of time. You rather want to start with this 1/2 meter distance to the kettlebell that I've showed you earlier, because this is how you start with momentum and you don't waste your first rep. Weight progression is another reason why you want to start the proper way with this 1/2 meter distance to the kettlebell. Because the heavier the kettlebell gets as you're swinging weights, and believe me, as you're getting more proficient with the exercise, you will need heavier weights for a greater stimuli. You cannot have the kettlebell dangling in front of you like this and then start in an awkward way to get started.
And my chin slightly tucked under as if there is an apple or an orange underneath.
Tucking in your chin, imagining a baseball or tennis ball right here in front of you, might make sense when you're squatting heavy. When you're swinging, however, you don't have to overly flex your neck like this. You want to keep it in a neutral position. Tucking in your chin as you are swinging kettlebells might also lead to this type of posture, especially as you progress to heavier weights where more tension is required. In conclusion, I want to briefly mention her voice and her tone. Now, I'm not saying that she's doing this intentionally. Maybe nobody has told her yet. She comes across as condescending. She talks like this, and then I see this all day, and then I see the worst offense. Does that look safe? That's a little input for you coaches out there. I had to learn this too. Sometimes our demeanor, our tone, and our voice comes across in a way that we don't want it to. And then we have to adjust. If you want to be an over-the-top and above-average coach, then your voice, your demeanor, and your smile has to be over the top and above average as well. Here's the next step that you have to do. Like the video, consider subscribing, share with a friend, and then go watch this video. This is a swing tutorial where we cover mistakes that we see people make once they get started with kettlebells. So if you want to really drill down and hone your kettlebell swing technique, you got to check out this video right now.